Well, xAI is getting the military to support its request to, I know it's so interesting to say now, to drop the NAACP's lawsuit against the use of gas turbines in Southaven, Mississippi. The U.S. Department of Justice says the Department of Defense relies on AI technology developed and trained at xAI's Colossus II facility in Southaven. It's the latest move by federal officials in the ongoing federal lawsuit filed by the NAACP challenging xAI's use of temporary gas turbines at the Southaven site. The Justice Department is now asking a judge to dismiss the case. We are seeing more and more pushback against data centers elsewhere. Olive Branch's Planning Commission denied plans for a data center development along Church Road. And then even in Nashville, where nearly 450,000 people signed the zoo's petition against plans for the AI company DC Blocks to build a data center next door. I'm going to open it up to Sam Hardiman here. So yeah, I think until I was today years old to find out that the government was in on this xAI situation. So break it down a little bit more for us. How is xAI playing into military intelligence, and are they now just here to stay, or do these lawsuits even matter?
I mean, I think you're asking some great questions there, Pepper. First, I think what the filings that we saw this week on Monday underscore for people is, I mean, it's pretty vague what exactly Grok does, the large language model of xAI does for the federal government. It presumably helps it pick targets to hit with missiles. I'm not qualified to say anything further, but that's what Cameron Stanley, the head of digital warfare for the United States government, says in a testimonial that he put in there. And so that's not me making that up.
Okay.
But what is very clear now is that the United States government believes that the amount of computing power that xAI has in Memphis, they're arguing it is important for national security. Let's also back up a second. Anthropic pays $1.25 billion a month to rent Colossus in Memphis. Google is paying about $910 million a month to rent parts of Colossus 2 in Memphis. The federal government says we need this for national security. This is one of the most valuable things in the world. That's what I think probably we should think about here is genuinely that's really a valuable thing. Does the lawsuit matter? I want to back up. I want to answer the question differently. Mm-hmm. SpaceX xAI, in their filings this week, made a point that I've made here before, but it's an important point. The Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality said in late July of 2025, you can run turbines at 2875 Stanton Road. The Southern Environmental Law Center and their clients knew that within a few weeks, all right, because it was reported in the Daily Memphian within a few days, but they knew it for certain within a few weeks. If they were violating the Clean Air Act in August, September, you see where I'm going with this, but you only sued them in April. Why didn't you just sue them in August? They were one violation of the Clean Air Act is the same as continued, presumably, right? And xAI has been able to point to, hey, Mississippi signed off. Have the issue with Mississippi, because there is very clearly a letter that no one disputes that Mississippi says you can do this. And so that's where we are. But I don't want to get into legalese and not say this. I think what we're seeing is the immense value that the world seems to derive, or at least the United States economy seems to derive from the compute, both at 5422 Lane Road and 3231 Paul R. Lowry Road. But what is very also clear is these lawsuits represent, I think, the acute pain that many people feel from this being in their community. Whether it is the noise, that's a separate lawsuit here, from the power plant, whether it's concern about the air pollution, that is a very real thing. How much air pollution, we don't know yet, but it's very clear there is air pollution from xAI that's new to Memphis. And so there's local, maybe benefit, but there's also local harm. The value that's being derived worldwide is worldwide, and it's tens of billions of dollars. We know that for a fact. But is Memphis seeing that?
Always great with the breakdown there. We have one quick point on this.
Yeah. Well, my point is, and I'm glad you mentioned that Nashville is saying that they're worried about it having a data center because the zoo is nearby. And that's really, I mean, when we really think about it, and nobody's worried about the fact that it's in the neighborhood near one of the most thriving schools in Shelby County out there in Whitehaven. And nobody's saying anything about that out there. But we're worried about the zoo. We're not saying that we shouldn't worry about animals, but when we start thinking about, is anybody worried about the people that's around this thing? The other part to what you're saying is, I think if you're going to be a good partner, just say all of this stuff is true, and we need it. wouldn't you say that if I'm being in a partnership with a particular area, I'm going to do everything to make the people feel comfortable with what I'm doing? If I'm spending billions of dollars to say I want the data, should not be a good neighbor and say I'm going to make sure that whatever I do doesn't cause harm to the people? Shouldn't we hold them accountable for that? Should we not say that if you agreed on a gray water facility or water facility that you talked about, should you not hold up to your word on that? I mean, these are the things that we need to consider, because we allow people, a lot of times companies come into a place, and I think about it goes back to when 3 Mile Island, when we talk about nuclear and that kind of thing. And when the disaster happens, everybody's freaking out.
Yeah.
But before it happens, nobody's, oh, well, it's a good thing. We're going to get all this power from this nuclear reactor. Oh, we got it under control until you have a meltdown. What happens when something like that catastrophically happens around the folks that are around these data centers? We don't know.
We can raise the specter of catastrophic, but we have FedEx jets in the sky.
I get
over
it.
us
Yeah,
every
I
day.
get it.
I mean,
I get it.
I'm not trying to say FedEx is going to have an accident, but like that's very possible.
Yeah.
Any time.
Yeah, but I think just being a good neighbor about it, making sure that, I mean, FedEx knows if they do have a crash, that the ramifications of that, they're going to have to pay the people who were victims of that whole thing. I just think we just need to have a real conversation on what does it take to be a good neighbor, and then people will say, okay, xAI is a good neighbor. They're going to make sure they're doing this. They're holding up to their end of the bargain, and we're going to move forward with that. And that's all I have.
Unfortunately,
I'm going to pass on this.
Yeah, it's a race
I'm
against the
sorry.
clock
I'm
right now,
sorry.
because we never have enough time. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about a Shelby County elected official's indictment on federal corruption charges. We'll be right back.